Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're doing a video review on the CTEK Battery Charger. Had some issues with the MR2 and the battery not holding charge, and my charger's just failing in general. So let's give this a go, let's give this a review, see how it goes. Hopefully it resolves my issues, hopefully it'll work. Stay tuned. So this is the CTEK MXS 5.0 battery charger. It's got some good reviews on Amazon. It goes for a fairly decent price. Basically the MR2 is not holding charge. After about a week or so it won't start. Now I think the battery is okay because the battery is technically brand new, although it's 6 months old. It has sat in the car and the car does get started once every 3 or 4 weeks maybe, and I think that is just killing the battery. So I think the battery just needs a good maintenance charge and some sort of trickle charge in place so that when I want to crank the engine over, the car will start without any problems. Don't have much on the back, just basically that there's a recon. It's for AMG batteries, basically start stop batteries. And it's got an 8-step charging program, which sounds a bit fancy. Basically just slowly trickle charges the battery. Bring the battery in here, attach this to it, and let's see what happens. So this is the battery, it's a BOSCH S4. It is actually brand new, surprisingly. It doesn't look it. All this corrosion on the terminals, which is surprising because I only bought this in, I think it was Feb or March. But yeah, it's a S4026 BOSCH battery. This is my current charger. Now this is the one I purchased, I think it was Christmas time, I think it was Black Friday. And it's kind of worked. I liked it because it did 6V and 12V. It literally melted this whole entire sleeve off, and the wire itself is actually melted too. So I've kind of just bodged it, kind of just jammed it in there and bent the metal back on itself, and it works. But I just have terrible luck with battery chargers. The reason why I think the battery isn't charging fully is because when the engine's running, it could be running for 10, 20, 30 minutes. Turn the car off, and when I check, it's only about 10 to 11 volts. It's never actually over 12. It should be reading 12.4, and as we can see, it's currently 8.46, so not even close to 12.4. The most I've seen this recently is about 10.6. Hopefully this guy here, running the recon charge, that will hopefully repair this battery to the point where it can actually hold 12 or 13 volts, and we can put it back in the car and call that done. I mean, for a battery charger, it's pretty small, and I'm pretty sure this is waterproof. So what do we have in the box? We have a bag, instructions of how to charge a battery. We have a foreign plug, so that's interesting. So I've not read the instructions yet, but I'm pretty sure that it will say at some point, if it's a modern car, do not connect this directly to a battery. I would not connect directly to the battery. The reason being, a lot of modern cars, especially BMWs, Range Rovers, they have sensors and have chips and they have all sorts of electronic gizmos attached to these ports. And you don't want to go directly to the battery because you could damage the actual chips themselves. I'd imagine it's something like from the chassis itself, and most modern cars actually have a post that you can jump from. You've probably seen it if you've popped your bonnet. You'll have like a red cap with a plus on. You remove that cap and there's a piece of metal sticking up that probably suggests that you attach it to that and probably the ground of the car. In a modern car you shouldn't really have a ground and go direct to the battery. It's probably not best for the car, but like I say, before you put in your car, just do your research first because you could cause some damage. This is a really old car and stuff like that was not invented back then, so going straight to the battery, perfectly fine. Basically a plug on one end, and on the other end is just a cable coming out. Now I should have probably bought the extension lead. I assumed there was more wire than this. That is not going to go anywhere, is it really? So for charging the battery, perfectly fine. But this is how I will charge the battery going forward after I've done a full charge, a recon on the battery. This is what I was talking about. This will get attached to the negative and this to the positive, and that will be on my battery, and this will just be hanging down beside the battery. And when I want to put the car on trickle charge, be a case of just grabbing this end, putting them together, and that will be it basically. That will be the battery on charge. I won't have to do nothing else. Once I'm finished, I can just disconnect this and ready to go. I will mention about build quality. This is clearly just painted gold, and there are some scratch marks here, and there's a mark there, but what is irritating me there's a bit of plastic or something broke inside. So the one I'll be using at the minute tonight will be the clamps. So I'll get this attached and get these onto the battery. Ground to ground, positive to positive. I would have expected that to light up. Maybe, I suppose that's the cycle of the actual charge, so maybe not. My old charger, if I put the battery on, it was half full, it would come to here. If it was fully charged, it would tell me. If it was low, it would say here. So let's turn it on. And it is on car, so that'll be a small charge, so that'll be 86 volt. You got car, which would be 12, AGM, which isn't one of them batteries, and then recon, which is what I want to put on. So I want to be using recon. It is actually cycling through the stages. It's on the third stage at the minute, but we want recon, so we're on car, recon, first stage, second stage. We have no errors. Up here would flash if there was an error, so we look like we're doing okay. 9.39, 9.4, so that should keep going up slowly. It should eventually get to, I imagine, about 13-14 volts, and once we're at that stage, I imagine the cycle will be complete. I'm just going through the instructions. Came across something interesting. It recommends that you do a recon once a year. That's something I didn't realise you had to do. That's something I've never done before in the past. But yeah, I suppose I've got the unit now, so I probably could do that going forward. So this is 70 amp hour, and it reckons for a 60 amp hour you're looking at 12 hours, so it's going to be at least 12 hours, maybe 12, 13, 14 hours. That's a long time. So mine's on stage 3. Stage 1 is removing the sulfur. Stage 2 is a soft start, which basically just tests the battery to make sure it can be charged. We're in stage 3 at the minute, which is charging with a maximum current, which is a bit higher than standard. I think it is 15 volts, 15.8 volts. Once the battery's at 80%, I'll then move on to step 4, and then I'll go to 100%, then I'll analyze the battery, and that would be the end of it. However, we've selected recon. Because we selected recon, it'll then go on to do a recon of the battery, carry out a float, and then finally pulse. Pulse is kind of like a trickle charge. When we're in the last step, it'll just send tiny bits of current to the battery just to keep it topped up. I'm guessing if it drops below 95%, it'll just give it a little bit of boost to top it up to 100 and then turn itself back off. Protects the battery, protects the charger, and that way when you want to start your car, you should be good to go. So far I'm quite happy. It's quite a smart product. I quite like the clamps, much better than these flimsy ones. As you can see, these have actually buckled. I mean, it's had quite a lot of use, to be fair, and it was a quarter of the price, but I would have expected better from CD. I've got a lot of their products. Now we've got this guy. Hopefully this should work for a long time. This is probably going to stay on this step for a long time, I would imagine. Getting this battery to 80% might take overnight. So the next step, we'll leave this overnight, come back in the morning and see how it's getting on. So it is the next day. It has been, I would say, 15 hours and we are on stage 4. So yeah, the order it goes is you have the first stage, second, the third, which is the bulk of the charge. You have step 4, which we're on now. Then step 5 is analysing the battery. Basically checks, is this battery 12 volts? If it is, it moves on to step 7, which is the float, and then finally the trickle pulse section. It only does the recon if we have car recon activated, so it will actually include that step on my charge. Now it should have took 8 hours. It has not. However, I don't know when this was on step 3, because it says here step 3 can take 20 hours. So for all I know, this might have took the entire night, and this might have only been on for a couple hours. So I think we'll give it another 6-7 hours. Hopefully that'll move on to the 5th step. 5th step, like I say, is analyzes the battery. Once it confirms it is 12 volts, it'll move on to do the recon. Recons is 2 or 6 hours. I guess 2 hours is for the small battery, so 6 hours it will be. So probably looking at another 12 hours. I'm on 11.9, 11.10. When I came in about half an hour ago, it was at 11.11. So it's not necessarily going up. It's kind of been there for a while now, so hopefully it will start going up in the next few hours. It might actually go over 12 volts. So we're definitely pushing this to its limits, I think. It's this is a brand new battery. This should charge no problem. This should fly through these tests and should get to the end. This should probably take 8 to 10 hours max, I would have thought. I expected to come in this morning. I expected it to be at step 8, and I expect that to be flashing, pulsing, doing the trickle charge, put this back in the car and call it done. But it isn't. It's taking ages. So it's clearly, I wouldn't say I found a fault, because it would have told me up here if I had a fault, but it's clearly, it's doing the job. It's working in the background. It is doing what it needs to do. So we'll leave that a few more hours, and hopefully this will get some charge, and hopefully we'll make it to the end. So guys, it's the next day again. So this has took 2 days, but we finally got there in the end. As you can see, we're on stage 7, which is where it should be. And I'm guessing from the instructions, every once in a while, once it detects this battery has dropped slightly, it will send a pulse of charge, which will be the 8. And once it's back up to over 12 volts, I'm guessing it'll just turn back off. And basically this is it. So this is how you would leave the system set up. I will be attaching this to the positive and this to the negative, and then this will be just hanging out in the front of the car. And basically when the car's parked up, I will plug this into this. I'll probably screw this into the wall in the garage somewhere and leave it turned on the whole entire time. And basically that will hopefully mean that when I want to start the car, the battery's fully charged and ready to go. So it will be a case of popping the bonnet, disconnecting this, putting the cap back on, start the engine and take the car out. And hopefully that'll be the end of the battery issues, because that has been really frustrating. The amount of times I've had a jump pack on this thing is insane. Pretty much every time I want to try and start the car, jump pack. And if I know in advance that I'm going to start the car, it's battery charger. So hopefully this will resolve them issues. Just repaired it, nothing fancy, just recrimping the wire and solder it in place, but that should hopefully fix the issue. It's better than nothing, at least it works. It's always got to have a spare, so I can now get put away. This battery I think was dead. I think it was due to be replaced. It's a brand new battery. It's kind of been abused. It's been used for cranking for quite a bit when I was trying to get the engine to start initially, and then it just sat for months and months. And I would come along and I'd be doing electrical work, so I would always have this attached and it'd be draining, so I'd be charging it and then I'd be jumping it, and it's not had the proper life it deserved. So this guy here doing a recondition on the battery, hopefully it's good to go now. It would have logged a fault and it wouldn't have got this far. The sound of science. So no idea if you could actually hear that or not. It's like a bubbling sound coming from inside the battery. So overall, I'm very happy with the CTEK charger. Much better than I expected, to be fair. I thought it was just going to be like a normal battery charger with a built-in trickle charger, but I was quite surprised, so I'm very happy. I think it's brought life back to this battery again. So with that, guys, I'm going to call this one here. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it's been educational, you've learned something. Like always, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.